SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
I don't have to tell you that it's hot outside, but did you know your tires and oil degrade faster in hot weather? That's why it's important for you to pay a visit to Summit's Auto Center, Exhaust Pro Tire and Lube. We make tire replacement easy at Exhaust Pro with the Auto Pass Card. 1131 Highway 51 in Summit.
And now, Sports.
Get ready, sports fans. It's time for Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming worldwide on the SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your Amazon Alexa devices. Chasing Foul Balls, your weekly source for all the sports news and interviews important to Southwest Mississippi. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank. And now, here's your host, Robbie Hamilton.
Well, good morning, y'all. Welcome to Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. Glad to have you along with us. Remember, 3 ways to listen. You can listen to it right here on SuperTalk. You can go to the SuperTalk website and click on Listen Live, or you can go to the SuperTalk Mississippi website and listen to it there. Also, after the show, just go to our Facebook page, Chasing Foul Balls, and it'll be a podcast of either take your choice. You can go to Spotify, Apple, or Amazon and listen to the show there. So we hope you do that. Also, make sure you go by and join us on our Facebook page, Chasing Foul Balls. It'll keep you updated all during the week on what's going on as far as high school and college in Mississippi and everywhere in this area. Well, guys, y'all are lucky too this morning. We have got some darlings to talk about today. Join us. The professor's back with us. Mr. Neil Randall, how are you, sir?
Oh man, I'm glad to be here. Good to see you guys again, you young guys.
Well, it's leaves me out. It's good to see you, Richard.
Well, I'm glad to be seen, Robbie, and working on getting that biological clock adjusted after the time change.
I tell you what, between Richard and Neil, all these words they use, I might just start bringing me a dictionary. Sit down here so I can look everything up to make sure I can understand y'all not being ugly or talking about me. That's what I'm worried about.
Never.
Bull. That's what that is. He done told a story, and now you done told a story, and here we go. Boy, guys, we got all the kind of folks we want to talk about this morning. David, let's start, of course, with the big story, LSU. Let's see, how can we all get all this straight? They fire a football coach. It costs them $53 million. They fire an athletic director. It's going to cost them $6 million. They hire a president. They hire an athletic director that the president then says is not going to necessarily be the full-time athletic director. But then they come back the next day after everybody raising the devil and say that he's going to be the full-time athletic director. What in the world's going on, guys? As a university, how can you just have this much chaos within your program, Neil?
Well, it begs the question of who's in charge, and I think I know the answer. Nobody's in charge.
The governor, I reckon, is in charge.
Well, probably not, but anyway, he may think he is.
What do you think there, Richard?
Well, it's kind of like what Neil just said. I guess he thinks he is, but the more he injects himself into the issue or the problem, it just makes more chaos. Because you come out and say one thing today and he's backtracking the next day. I'm not going to do this. Then he does it. And I just read, I think this morning, that the interim football coach has made, if he doesn't win this weekend, he's leaving. And I'm like, then what are they going to do?
He's probably gone now.
Well, I was going to say, is that just
he picked the wrong team to make that statement about.
I was just thinking, I said, I know you want to fire your troops up and kind of give us a little rah-rah, but in this situation there, and I don't know if that was the best, but I don't know.
Kid, this stuff, college football and money is a strange situation. It has a tendency to work itself out. But can this work itself out before a football coach has to be hired at LSU? And will this hurt the attempt to hire the coach they want?
I think it's already hurt their efforts to hire the kind of coach or the coach they want to hire. You would think it would eventually calm down and cooler heads would prevail, but that hadn't happened just yet.
No, it hadn't happened, Neil. And Robbie, I think you're you're on to that because of the fact that the more chaos you create, if they want a high-profile coach, somebody that can come in, believes in the program, the whole 9 yards, and put them back in the national spotlight. Well, what big-time coach from the outside looking in says, I want to throw my hat into that ring and get into that mess?
All of them.
For the right price, but the governor's already said we're not paying them big contracts.
They go pay the money.
I know they will eventually.
All of them will get it. Every coach, every college coach thinks they can straighten out the world. It's not one that don't think that. So this will eventually go away before they have to. They don't hire a football coach probably until after the playoffs because most probably somebody they're looking for is in the start of the playoffs anyway. So that leads to the next question. Will LSU new football coach, head football coach, be a college coach or be a pro coach, Richard?
Right now, Robbie, I'd say it'd have to be a college coach. I think I think any pro coach looking back, unless he's a coordinator or something, would look at that and say, I'm pretty set right here, depending on, if it's an LSU grad and he wants to come back. But I think a good college coach, just take Lane Kiffin. He understands how to handle all the different things. He's got support. And the ones that do that are, as you said, they're in high demand. So if LSU can get one of those, I think it'll be a college coach.
Well, to be very honest, I really don't know. But I would think a lot of college coaches would be wary of falling into that right now. But like Robbie says, we know what walks and what talks. But I would not be surprised if they hired a coordinator who maybe had Louisiana or Southeastern Conference tie, a pro coordinator. A pro coordinator. They don't hire, they're not going to hire a head coach that's not a head coach right now that's gone through the wire. And people, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let's move on to the next, how do I put this, crazies. Salem hadn't won a football game since I was 225 pounds, and that's a long time ago. They get to playoffs. It gets to be the Monday of the playoff week, and all of a sudden somebody finds they have an ineligible player and turns them in, and now Salem has to forfeit all their games, and they're out of the playoffs. Neil, you're the former school administrator. This is a adult problem for Salem. This is not a kid's problem. The kid, he didn't know he was ineligible, but the adults should know, the coach or the athletic director or the principal, somebody should know that he's not eligible. How did this all happen to go all the way through the football season and get to the end before somebody turns you in? Well, I got to believe that an adult or some adults knew that he was not eligible. When you enter the 9th grade, you got 4 years, and that didn't just start. That's in time in memoriam. And at most schools, and of course I've been out of it a long, long time, but most schools you have one person, one adult person who handles eligibility and communicates with the state office. But this is not the young man's fault. And I could give a few more details, but this is an adult created problem.
I agree, Robbie. My first thought is, how did somebody at the school, in the administration, how did somebody not know?
Well, there's any, there could have been somebody just came in, they gave him the job this year, but it is a super important job.
But every year, you've got, like you said, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. It's real simple. I can count that high. And, somebody knew, and somebody had to know ahead of time and say, hey, he's not supposed to be out there. So did he play another year somewhere else? I don't know.
No, he was out of school.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
He was not matriculating.
Could you, in a situation like this, Neil, as the administrators, as the MHSAA, could you penalize the coaches or the school without penalizing the kids? Like, these kids have played their hearts out. They had the playoffs for the first time. Now they got to sit at home. Any way you can penalize the school but not penalize the kids?
Well, they're probably going to find the school monetarily, but the short answer there, Robbie, is no.
Before we get to the first break, I want to make sure we get this. We didn't get into it last week. Janice Felder, one of the great basketball players in Southwest Mississippi forever, out of South Pike, passed away. Neil, you were there when Janice was with the South Pike Lady Eagles. Great player, great person. Hate to hear about the untimely passing.
Well, she'd been suffering for a good long time. Janice was part of 3 state championship teams in 4 years, ninth grade year, junior year, and senior year. She was an all-state player, I guess, for at least 2 of those years. Went to Southern Miss, was a first-team All-American, the first one they had. She's the only women's basketball player to have her jersey retired, and it's in the rafters of Reed Green Coliseum. But a really fine lady who we've lost way too early, and she came from a really good family. All of them were great athletes, so she was special.
Visitation will be tonight from 6 to 8 at South Pike High School Auditorium. Janice Felder's services will be Saturday, 12 noon at the Southwest Community College Fine Arts Auditorium. One final thing before we go to the break. Community College has their state semifinals on Saturday up at Colin. Northwest comes visiting Colin. Colin, number 5 team in the nation, takes on Northwest. 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. The other semifinals, Gulf Coast makes the trip up to East Mississippi for prayer meeting up there. They'll play at 3 o'clock on tomorrow afternoon. We'll come back. We'll talk to our first guest today, the writer himself, Mr. Steve Robertson, next. Good morning. Chasing foul balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County and MAIS. Don't think you're going to get away from us. We just ran out of time in the first segment. We still got you written down for the Great Marshall Adventure. We'll talk about that later in the show. But first, let's head up to Stark Vegas. Beat writer for Gene's Page, covering the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and one of the top authors right now in Mississippi, Steve Robertson, joins us. Steve, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. It's going to be an interesting weekend in Starkville. A lot going on. Matter of fact, we got a women's basketball game tipping off here in about an hour and a half, and then the Diamond Dog Classic, the alumni game tonight, and then of course Mississippi State and Georgia tomorrow.
A busy time for a beat writer, isn't it?
Oh, it's always a busy time for us, but we love what we do. I mean, there's a reason that I've been doing this almost 30 years now, and it's not because of the free hot dogs and better parking passes. I mean, we love what we do.
I know a lot of folks in this room would go for the hot dogs, but we're not going to talk about that. Steve, I reckon our first time to talk with you in 5 or 6 years, we've been out of it. So I kind of wanted to start back from the beginning. How did you get the nickname Rose Bowl?
Well, way back in 2001, I wrote a column suggesting that Mississippi State was going to win the SEC West, and they ended up being 3-9, I guess, that year. And that particular year, the BCS championship was in Pasadena, so some rival fans thought that they would have some fun at my expense and start calling me Rose Bowl, which is fine with me because I like alliteration and, the emphasis on the second syllable, but all was good, and I've kind of thrown that back in some people's faces over the year. We used to sell T-shirts that said Rose Bowl was right, so it's always good stuff. What's life without a little whimsy,
That's right.
Steve, this is Neil Randall. Great to have you back on Chasing Foul Balls. At this point in time with Mississippi State, how would you characterize their season in one word thus far?
Encouraging. I think that's the way I would go with it. And I think it's obvious that State can compete compete with anybody. Probably one recruiting class away from really being able to contend for some special things. But, last year's season, due to some injuries and just a lack of personnel, the season was endured more so than enjoyed. But I think a lot of Bulldog fans are having a lot more fun with football this year because you're one win away from bowl eligibility with 3 games to play, and 2 of those 3 games come at home, and one of them goes on the road against a Missouri team that's having to play a true freshman quarterback due to injuries. And you feel like the Bulldogs should be able to find a place somewhere in the postseason.
Steve, this is Richard Hay. Once again, thank you for being back with us. I'll jump around a little bit because I know it's a big football weekend in Starkville, but I can't get my mind off the Diamond Dog Classic that'll go on tonight with all the alumni coming in, and to see I think it was an interview somewhere about Coach O'Connor talking about the excitement of having 6,000 or 7,000 people to watch an alumni game, and talk about that and what all it means to the program right now where we are with our new coach.
Well, a lot of things what happens in college athletics these days is everybody is so desperate for the third-party dollar. And you spent 4 years begging for money, and you still got to do some element of that. But if you really want to raise some money, you've got to give people some incentive. And, you had the Savannah Bananas here earlier this year, and that made a fortune for Mississippi State baseball. And now you have this alumni game. We used to have these during polls, but they weren't especially well attended. Things have changed a lot since then. And so it's an opportunity to get people back on campus to celebrate Mississippi State baseball, but also, too, a chance to raise some money for NIL. And everything these days is about generating revenue for college athletics. But this is a very unique experience. You got Clark and Palmero back, and Jake Mangum, and Mitch Moreland, and so many others. And it's just kind of a reunion of sorts, and I hope it's something that continues. I'll be there, obviously, but I'm going to be out in the lounge interviewing some former players and eating some link sausage.
Steve, this is Neil again. Really enjoyed the Mississippi State win over Arkansas. A truly exciting ball game. Lots of people contributing for the Bulldogs. But share with our listeners, if you would, about the freshman Kamario Taylor, the quarterback who came in and really made a difference.
Yeah, he's the future, and I think everybody's known that. And as a guy that had a chance to watch him play a few times in high school, he just makes everybody better. Like, even in high school, when in pregame warm-ups, he's dancing around, he's one of the guys, but when he comes out of that locker room and it's ready to take the field, it's business. And so people kind of mirrored his approach. And I think when at Mississippi State, one of the first things he does is he kind of, reaches out to other guys and builds relationships. I've had coaches tell me that one day he's sitting with the quarterbacks for lunch, the next day he's sitting with the defensive lineman, and so he's made friends with everybody on this team, and they believe in him. And I think you saw last weekend why they should believe in him. And Mississippi State fans kind of got a taste of what's to come. And I joked with one of our guys in administration. I said, you guys ought to go ahead and open up season ticket renewals next year with his picture on the front of it, because that's going to be the driving force next year.
Steve, Richard Hay once again, talking about this weekend with Georgia and then the following week with Missouri, and then, of course, the Egg Bowl. And it's significant for us trying to get one more victory and make bowl eligible, which I think would be a tremendous accomplishment for Coach Levy and his staff. But talk about the importance of what it means to these other teams who are all kind of got their eyes on the playoffs. So they're not coming in. State's got it. We got to really play well for the next 3 weeks to get a win against teams that are fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, and that's kind of the neighborhood we live in, right? I mean, every game in the SEC this year has been a lot more competitive. And I think if you look at the parity within the league, you can attribute a lot of that to the NCAA transfer portal. For years and years and years, the Alabama, Tennessees, and LSUs and Georgias would just stockpile talent. And you get a 4 or 5-star guy hurt, you just plug in another one. But, like you look at Anthony Evans, one of the most prolific receivers in the Southeastern Conference, was underutilized at Georgia. He comes to Mississippi State and now becomes a household name, where he was just a punt returner at Georgia. And they could use him right about now. I mean, they've only got one receiver that's got more than 25 catches this year. And so I think what the portal has done is kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. And if you look this year, there's been more games in recent memory that have gone down to just one possession. You even look at Georgia. They've played 6 SEC games. 5 of those 6 have been determined by 10 points or less. And so I think what we're seeing is maybe an unintended consequence of the portal is you're seeing talent maybe a little more widely distributed, and you're getting some guys that aren't willing to go ride the bench to maybe go to the playoff. They want to play, and that's where I think Mississippi State could benefit, because this is going to be a very tumultuous offseason in the Southeastern Conference. You've already got 4 jobs open, and if the cards fall just right, you could have as many as 8 first-year coaches in the SEC next year, and that's where Mississippi State has to take advantage. You've got to be the portal destination. You've got to be able to preach stability, especially these guys maybe have 1 year left over, because they don't want to go be part of a rebuilding program. You want to show that you're trending up and that they're the difference maker between maybe a Tennessee bowl game or something of greater significance.
Steve, Neal again. If you would touch for a minute on what I will call a unique talent on the Mississippi State defense, and Kelly Jones, a long, tall cornerback.
You know, I'm gonna take a little credit for Kelly Jones, and what I mean by that is, I saw him on film after his junior year, and I was like, this kid is a bona fide SEC player. Contact the kid, and I find out all he has is junior college offers. So I called Henry Johnson, his head coach there at Clarksdale. I said, Henry, does the kid not have grades? And he said, Steve, we don't understand it either. He's going to qualify without any trouble. He's a huge athlete, great foot speed. So I just kind of started praising this kid, and I started talking to my friends in college football, and I'm like, man, there is a kid here in the Mississippi Delta that is a freak of an athlete. And so he hadn't played a lot of corner. He was a quarterback and a safety in college, but he didn't have maybe the frame to carry the weight to play safety. He played those positions in high school, but he wasn't going to be able to play safety, I don't think, in college because of how thinly framed he is. But all of a sudden you look at what 2 years in a weight room has done for him and 2 years of kind of learning the position. He grades out as the best corner in the country right now. And you begin to wonder, does he consider going pro this year? He's only a redshirt sophomore. He's got plenty of time to kind of figure this stuff out. But Kelly Jones has made Mississippi State a markedly better football team because it removes one option in the passing game. I mean, people keep throwing his way. He keeps batting it down. His catch radius is just freakish. And he runs a legitimate 4.3, 840. So he has all the measurables, and now he's starting to play the position at a high level. I think he could benefit for coming back for another year. But the reality of this thing with Kelly Jones is he is a Mississippi State success story, a kid that was under-recruited, and then State commits him. Ole Miss made a run at him late and sticks with State, but that was really it. I mean, and I think there's some people around the conference who are looking at themselves saying, why didn't we go out and offer this kid? And so we'll put a check mark next to his name and consider him a young man that has developed himself into a big-time SEC football player.
Steve, an exceptional author. What is it, 7 books now?
Yeah, 7 books now. The latest one came out, I guess, last October. It's the biography of Dude Noble, and it was on the bestseller list for a solid year, which is quite something that makes me proud. You know, I've had a lot of books on the Mississippi bestseller list, had some good at number 1, but this is the longest-running book, and it's a book that probably should have been written 50 years ago, and just so you know, all of those Diamond Dogs are coming back to play in this game tonight. They're getting a signed copy. I dropped all that stuff off yesterday, and I just feel like it's, whatever we can do as a Mississippi State family to make this event special, we should do it, and I felt like that was my part in this, and so we ran up there and signed those books, and so when those guys check in and get their uniforms and their gift bags today, they'll have a copy of that book.
Writing books have to be like having kids. It's hard to pick your favorite one. Can you pick your favorite book?
Yeah, I think Dogpile because of the historic nature of that. I mean, to chronicle Mississippi State's first ever national championship in a major sport, that's pretty significant. And then, I've been in recovery now almost 34 years, and I wrote a book about recovery, my personal recovery, a couple of years ago called When the Bottom Falls. And I would say, you're right, though, they're all my babies. And it's so frustrating, too. Like, you spend so much time, your heart's in every word, and then you release it to the world, and you hope people will be kind to the book. And they have been incredibly. But, Yeah, it's kind of an emotional thing when a book hits the market. You're so excited, but at the same time, too, you hope that you've done the characters and the principles involved in these books justice. You hope that you've told their story in a very dignified, respectful way, and I always try to do that. But, yeah, and the dude is very special to me, too, just because of the fact that there's just not a lot of information out there about Dudy Noble. What's interesting is, like, when I wrote that book, I had some college kids tell me I didn't even know Dudy Noble was a real person. And a funny story about that is I was having the registrar's office pull his grades, and they had some students like digging through the archives, and one of the young ladies came back and said, "Are you sure he went to school here?" She said, "Yeah, he was pretty sure. His name's on the baseball stadium, you know." So, but all that's pretty funny to me.
What's next? What you writing about next?
I'm actually writing a children's book next. I got 3 grandkids, and my baby sister Reagan is one of the most artistic people that I know, and she's got an older boy and then 3 younger girls. And I thought this would be a fun project for us to work on and kind of expand our horizons a little bit. So I'm working on a children's book that I think is pretty cool. And once we get through football season, we'll kind of be 100% working on that for a little while till we get it finished.
Not only do you have all the weekend stuff from Mississippi State, you have 3 book signings this weekend, don't you?
Well, it's kind of spread out. I'm in Maroon and Company this evening, and then I'll be at the 120 Club, and then I guess it's Wednesday. I'm in Meridian at the Bulldog Shop. But I don't do a lot of signings when I don't have a new book out. But because of all the stuff that's going on right now, we felt like this was a good time to get out and be seen. And when I start, before I have a book that's released, they always have me go do all these appearances, and everybody's like, "When's the new book coming out?" And so that's always fun too. But yeah, that's the thing I'm really proud of. It's like, when I grew up a kid down there in Columbia, Mississippi, and one day I wanted to write books, and I've written 7. And people asked me, I said, "Well, how many books do you plan to write?" And I said, "Well, I don't know how long the good Lord is going to let me live, but how many did Willie Morris write?" This is my era in that respect, and I want to do what I can to help tell these stories and leave a good legacy and do some things of significance that maybe inspire some other people. I mean, I'm just a small town boy raised on Ward's hamburgers, man, and I've been able to do some very incredible things, and I thank the good Lord for all of it.
How do we go about reading your articles on Mississippi State?
Yeah, you can find us at genespage.com. We are the Mississippi State affiliate for 247 Sports, and we make all of our game coverage free. That's one of the things I think a lot of people don't know, but like any of the big room stuff, any of the press conferences, the ball games, home or away, we make all that stuff for free. So, and we're going to have more extensive coverage than anybody else. So you can see videos of the players speaking in post-game, your coaches. We make that stuff for free. So even if you can't afford to subscribe, or maybe you're not convinced to subscribe, you can jump aboard and at least go kind of keep up with your team and read what the players and coaches have had to say for free over at genespage.com.
You also have a podcast in Boneyard.
Yeah, I've been doing that a long time, too. Some people ask me, when did you start? And that was before I even moved to Starkville. It used to be a couple days a week. Now it's three times a week, 90-minute show. And there's some days I ask myself, what am I going to talk about? And I end up talking 2 hours, But that's how life works. But, yeah, it's the Boneyard and specifically about Mississippi State. I also have a recovery podcast that I just kind of restarted again called I Am Steve R. So if you've got some listeners that are interested in that aspect of living, they can find that too, all available on all great streaming platforms.
Final question. You're an 80s metal guy. Favorite band?
It's got to be Motley Crue, at least from that era. I think Led Zeppelin's the best rock and roll band of all time, but I've been a Motley guy, man, since I was, wearing a mullet and driving my mama's car, and been to see them several times. But I don't try to be a music snob, but I like things with a little more guitar to it, a little more distortion, and I like a little racket. And so, yeah, I would say I'm probably a Motley Crue guy at heart, but really most of that stuff from the 80s I still love and listen to.
Steve, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate getting back in touch with you. We sure will get back and have some more discussions about Mississippi State and books.
Well, you guys do it. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Steve Robertson from Mississippi State.
The Boneyard is his podcast. Also, he's with Gene's page as far as writing and covering the beat writer for Mississippi State. If it's one person that'll lay it on the line and tell it exactly like it is, Richard, about Mississippi State, is Steve Robertson.
Exactly, Robbie. I mean, he's lived it. He's a true bulldog, and like you said, he doesn't sugarcoat it.
We'll come back. The voice of the Golden Eagle, John Cox, joins us next on Chasing Foul Balls.
Sports. And now sports.
You're listening to Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming everywhere on the SuperTalk Mississippi app. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank and brought to you by East Macomb Body Shop and Guy's Pharmacy. Now back to Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5.
If you're looking for a bank that feels like home, First Bank is here for you. 14 locations across southern Mississippi. We're your local bank for checking, savings, loans, and more. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or you just need everyday banking made easy, First Bank is ready to help. You can stop by your nearest branch, or you can visit firstbankms.com today. First Bank, where customers and community matters most. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. And let's head over to the Harvard of the South for the man himself, the legend, John Cox. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm having a little trouble hearing you guys. It's kind of low, but I'm doing good. I'm all packing up and ready to make the trip up to Jonesboro, Arkansas, see if we can't get the Eagles a little closer to winning the regular season championship, or at least right now, our division, and then a chance to play for the championship.
Boy, to be a Golden Eagle broadcaster this year has to have a smile on your face, no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I tell you, it's been a lot of fun. Our crews enjoyed it, and Coach Huff has been great to work with. The players have been great to work with. I mean, they're really focused on getting the job done each and every week, and it's been fun to watch. It's fun to watch, watch how they prepare for ball games. It's nice to see how they prepare the day of the game, and then when they get to the stadium that day. So I like it. It's been really nice, and I'm expecting bigger and better things, I hope, for the rest of the year.
I hate to ask this question because I really don't want to hear the answer. It's going to make me feel a lot older, but what is this, 40 years this year?
You're not even close. You're not even close. This football season is the 48th that I have done football.
A lot. It makes me feel a lot worse. A lot worse.
I did my first one, believe it or not. I did my first football game in 1978. Bill Goodrich and Vic Purvis were doing the game. They decided to do a couple of games on TV that year, and so me and a guy by the name of Dick Strimmel were the guys that did the ball games on radio that day. So that's my first one back in 1978.
John, this is Richard Hay, and it's always good to have you on again. I guess the question I've asked all my Southern Eagle fans: when Coach Huff was hired in the 2 seasons prior to the Eagles had been through, did you foresee this kind of turnaround, or did you just want to hopefully get to some semblance of respectability again? But talking about playing for championships, there's even some small talk about maybe somehow you slide into the playoffs. What's your thoughts about when that was hired to where you are now?
Well, I don't think the whole scenario has changed with the transfer portal and NIL and all of that kind of thing. So it's really, in the old days, it would take a while, even if you got some transfers and things like that. And now, Southern Miss has brought Coach Huff was able to bring, I think, 19 guys, 29 guys. It's a big number of guys that played for him on a championship team at Marshall last year to Southern Miss, including Braylon Braxton, the quarterback, who is one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And so it's a lot quicker to do that. And on defense, kind of the same thing. They brought in a bunch of guys that played at Marshall on that championship team. So, it's just almost like a continuation to the coach. And Coach Huff's been really good. And then Blake Anderson, the offensive coordinator who was here with Coach Fedor, I think, back many years ago at Southern Miss, was at Utah State. He brought some guys with him from Utah State. So a lot easier now to kind of remodel that team and go from a team like last year at Southern Miss that won one game to a team right now that's contending for the Western Division Championship.
John Neal Randall, Southern Miss undefeated in conference, headed, as you said, headed to Jonesboro to take on Arkansas State. But now Arkansas State's a pretty good football team. They're sitting there at 4-1 in the conference. What do you know about the Red Wolves?
They're really good. They are really good. They, Butch Jones is their coach. He's been successful just about every place that he has been. And when you look up and down that roster, they've got a lot of guys that have stuck around over there in Jonesboro as he's kind of built that thing. And not a lot of guys have moved out of there, and they've been able to bring in some guys too. So it's a really, really good football team. I'm looking for that. The game tomorrow is almost, in a way, kind of a championship game. It'll be the two teams that are right now battling for that Western Division title. And so that's a big ball game. But, yeah, Arkansas State's really good. They've got a really good defense. They've got some veteran guys that have been around on offense for a number of years as well. And, anytime you got some consistency there in the offensive side of things, you're going to be tough. And so I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be a good one. And two teams right now, I think we're 4-0, they're 4-1, so two teams that are contending for the West. So it'll have the feel of kind of a championship game tomorrow.
John, Richard Hay once again. Talk about maybe a player or two on both sides of the ball that maybe has to have a good game tomorrow and be consistent that we might not know about right today, but tomorrow or tomorrow night or Sunday, somebody will be saying, these two guys were helped or were the difference in the game and us winning.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a sleeper out there that maybe will pop up that nobody's really heard of. I know on the Southern Miss side of the ball, again, it all starts with Braylon Braxton there at quarterback. Man, I've been around all the good ones here at Southern Miss, and he is right there in the midst of those guys. He is a great leader, and those other guys on the offensive side, pay attention to him, and so he certainly is a key factor for the Golden Eagles on the offensive side. And then, you always have to run the ball effectively, and the Eagles kind of have a three-headed, monster back there that are led by Pittman. Pittman's back there running the football. Jones and Briggs are guys that run the football as well. The offensive line is kind of I don't know if it's underrated, but probably just not recognized, but it's some guys up there that a lot of transfer guys, but they've gotten better and better as the year gone along. And then on defense, there's no question on defense. It starts with the two linebackers. Chris Jones, who's a sophomore who stuck around, played last year as a freshman for the Eagles. He is really good. And then Mike Montgomery is another guy who's a linebacker transfer from all places from Portland State, who is another one of the leading tacklers on the ball club. So I think it kind of starts there on offense. It always starts, the offensive line's got to do their job at quarterback. Braylon Braxton is such a great decision maker back there at quarterback. And on defense, if you're watching the game, you're going to see Montgomery and Jones make a lot of tackle. If the Eagles are playing well, they're going to both make a lot of tackles in the ball game.
John, this is Neil again. Talk a little bit about the Arkansas State quarterback, Jalen Rayner. He obviously has been very productive this year.
Yeah, it's a battle of probably the two best quarterbacks in the league. And when you throw our guy in there, Braxton in there, so and they both, I don't know if they're similar, but they're a lot alike in the way they lead their team and the way their teammates look up to them as guys that are going to make the right decisions and guys that are going to put on the field the game plan that the coaches have come up with to try to take advantage of what the other team does. So I think it all starts there at quarterback, and of course the guys that are unsung heroes a lot of times is the offensive line, and they've got a good experienced one. In fact, they've probably got a little more experience than the Eagles do up there. But so it'll kind of there. But then again, there are a lot of similarities on the defensive side as well. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys kind of like the Eagles, it seemed like they're in on every play. So I know I've talked like in cliches, but it's going to all start there in the trenches, man. There's going to be a great battle up there on the offensive, defensive fronts with those offensive linemen, trying to make something happen to help their team win. So there's a lot of variables in the game, and I'm the more I'm sitting here talking about it, I'm out in the stadium right now, walking up and down the field. The more I talk about it, the more excited I get about getting over there and playing that game tomorrow.
John, Coach Huff mentioned in one of his press conferences about Braylon Braxton possibly getting an extra year of eligibility. Can you tell us anything about that?
I don't know anything about that, but I hope it's right. Man, this guy's been. I'm telling you what. Now I know. I'm kind of bragging a lot on him, but this guy, man, he could play. He could play anywhere, and any team would love to have Braylon Braxton at the quarterback. And who knows? You never know what. I can't even explain a lot of those rules about the transfers and all of that. And I see guys on other teams that have been there for like 6 years and things like that. Maybe even a guy who's been there 7 years. And then you never know where they're going to come from. We've got a 30-year-old punter in Jack Marley who came from Australia, and he is one of the more talented punters that we've ever had at Southern Miss. So it's so Murley back there punting, and Braxton. There's so many good players. So it's going to be a lot of fun, no doubt about it.
Sunbelt Power rankings say James Madison, Southern Miss 2, Coastal Carolina 3, Arkansas State 4. Would you go with that list?
Yeah, I'm not really big on those lists, but I think people are starting to realize with the Golden Eagles that they're a whole lot better than maybe a lot of people thought at the beginning of the year. You got a team that's coming off a 1-11 year, but again, you can change it. You can change it so quickly, change the identity of that team so quickly by bringing in guys in the transfer portal. And you're talking about a Marshall team last year that won the conference championship in the Sun Belt, and all of a sudden, a lot of those guys are playing football in the black and gold for the Golden Eagles. So I don't know. There's so many variables to determine at the end who wins, but you got to do it out on the field. But I think the Eagles are right there in the thick of things. I think Arkansas State probably right there in the thick of things. So that's going to be. I can't wait for that one to kick off tomorrow, because it's going to be two teams that know how to win, two coaches that know how to win, and so it'll be a lot of fun in there tomorrow in that stadium.
11 o'clock kickoff for Southern Miss and Jackson State. One final question. If I've got my math right, between me and you, we have won the Mississippi Sportscaster of the Year 6 times, right?
Well, I don't know about you. You should have won it that many times. I know that. But yeah, I've been lucky enough to get that award several times, and it's hard to win it sometimes. There's so many really good sportscasters around the state of Mississippi, and there have been for a long, long time. So it's an honor to have a few of those trophies in my trophy case.
Just to make it sure, it's John Cox 6, Robbie 0. Just want to make sure we got that right. John, safe trip on your way up to Arkansas State. Hope you have a great game to call tomorrow, and we sure appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. Always a lot of fun, and hope the Eagles can pull one out. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be one of the better football games around the country tomorrow. I can promise you that.
John Cox, the voice of the Golden Eagles. We'll talk to the Golden Eagle fan, Big Daddy, right in here on Chasing Foul Balls next. Thanks for being with us on Chasing Foul Balls this Friday morning. Joining us on the phone, Big Daddy. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Robbie. How about y'all?
I'm all right. What's your feelings on the game tomorrow? You heard Cox.
Well, I'm always concerned about when we play a good team, and we got kind of a roll, and then we had a bye week, and we probably need the bye week to get well, but sometimes you just rather go ahead and play while you're playing good. But we'll be ready to go in the morning. Little Daddy's putting a brisket on tonight, and we're gonna smoke it all night, and we'll be eating during the ball game tomorrow. So we look forward to it.
Sound like y'all ready to go for me.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Question. Marshall Academy. I'm sure you've read that story of the supposedly throwing of the ball game to get a better position in the rankings as far as your place in the tournament goes, as far as where you could play for a state championship. What's your feeling? Did the MAIS do what's right? Did they give enough of a penalty to Marshall for doing something like that?
Well, I don't know if they did enough. They did a pretty good bit one time you add it all up, but I think the MAIS owns this one themselves. I mean, when they went to this 2-division, a 3-division thing within a classification, they put you in a position where if you didn't want to play one of the big boys, you had to lose to fall down to that next category. And we had talked about it. Me and Little Daddy had talked about that earlier in the season with Park Lane's situation. If they didn't want to match up with MRA and those Jackson schools that nobody wants to match up with, they needed to lose game to fall back down into that second division and be the number one seed in that second division. So I think the MAIS did this to themselves, and that's to take nothing away from Park Lane and Ron Rush and what he's done. But, I mean, he didn't do it. He played hard. He tried to win. But there was always that situation out there where you could think, well, if this could happen, we wound up being number one seed in the next division. But MAIS looks like they're going to change all that next year to a certain degree. So I think it was a one-year screw-up, to be put on perfectly honestly.
Well, we're going from 3 divisions to 2 divisions, basically, instead of inside of each class.
Right.
So we only have 2 arguments instead of 3 arguments next year.
Right.
So that's going to do a good job here. I had talked to a lot of coaches. I say a lot. I talked to 3 or 4 MAIS coaches before the season started, and they all told me, they said, Robbie, this is going to happen. I don't think anybody expected it to happen in football. I think everybody could see this happening more in basketball or baseball where it wouldn't be so obvious. But you can't be so obvious that you're throwing a game, can you, Reese?
No. I think I just can't imagine what the coach and whoever made the final decision, I assume it would have to be the coach at Marshall. He had to know he was treading on trouble by doing what he did, not even trying to run an offensive play in the second half. They scored 1 touchdown, and I understand that he got upset with a kid that scored a touchdown, and he should have fell down or something.
Tell you what, we talked about it in the Salem deal. Adults have got to take a whole lot more understanding that they're in charge of this situation, don't they?
Oh, yeah, no question about it. Everybody's always looking for an edge, and a lot of times it's not the right edge. It's bordering on being absurd, and this one was about as bad as I've ever heard.
Women's basketball, the Golden Eagles sets a season tickets sales record. I know you have to be excited about Missy Bilderback and the Lady Eagles.
Yeah, I've been in her corner, as you know, for a long time. I was really always impressed with her, and I'm just so excited about what she's doing. Had a great crowd in the opening game, and they won easily and played. I actually watched it, and they played outstanding basketball. I'm so happy for her.
What do you see as far as CUSA or at the Sun Belt Conference? Will you be able to get more teams as far as in bowl games this year with the balance in the league you have so far?
I think so, Robbie. I don't know. I mean, I'm sometimes these bowl things change every year, and I'm not certain how many tie-ins we got. The deal always falls down to some other leagues tie-ins, maybe not filling them all, and something more become available. But I know we'll probably have 6 or so, or maybe 7 teams that'll be in there for sure, and then we could actually probably have as many as 8, 9.
Enjoy yourself tomorrow, Reese. Y'all have a good time watching that ball game. It's going to be a good one.
All right, y'all join in. Make sure and pull for those Eagles.
We're going to pull for them in black and golds. There's no doubt about that. Thanks, Reese, for being with us. We sure appreciate it.
All right, bud.
One last thing before we get out of here. Summerall beat North Pike last night, 24-17. That put North Pike out of the playoffs. So football, high school football here on Super Talk, done for the year. We'll come back next Friday. We're going to load it up and try it again right here on Super Talk, Pike County, 93.5. And don't forget, you can go to any of the podcast areas and pick us up there.
The party ain't over. I said, don't turn out the lights. Don't turn out those lights. Don't turn out the lights. The party ain't over.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.